New York City Transit.
Hello everybody, today is February 27th, 2019. It is about 30 degrees Fahrenheit right now on a mostly cloudy day. This is the last stop on the 7 train, 34th Street, Hudson Yards. And I'm going to do a walking video of the High Line. Hey, what's up? No, I'm
vlogging?
Yeah, I'm vlogging. I'm going on the High Line. Some cheery individuals there. So this is a very, very deep station. 4 escalators on this exit. There's another exit to 35th Street. This is one of the newer stations in New York City. If you're afraid of heights, you can turn this video off or pause it because I'm going to turn the camera around. All right, escalator's almost done. Oh, I forgot to mention the time. Right now it is about 4:30 p.m. And here's another set of escalators to the street level. Now where I'm about to show you is Hudson Yards. It's a development project that's shared by the New York City government, state funding, and also private money. So it's a private-public partnership. These buildings are still going up, they're getting higher. And there in the distance is what's nicknamed the vessel. Supposedly there's going to be a name for it, and it's going to open in about 2.5 weeks. Basically it's an art exhibit, and it gets wider and wider as it goes towards the top. Basically stairs to nowhere. But just a quick glimpse of it before it officially opens to the public. I'll probably be one of the first people filming it. I'm sure if you open Instagram during that day, you'll see a lot of pictures and videos from the vessel or its future name. I don't know what it's going to be. So I'm making my way along 34th Street. The 7 train station itself leaves you off between 10th and 11th Avenues, although closer to 11th Avenue. This is 55 Hudson Yards. The building's already open, but I need to take the sidewalk to the High Line, which is a little bit past 11th Avenue. A lot of construction going on here. Look at this giant depression in the roadway. If you're going too fast driving there, for sure you'll have some vehicle damage. So where I'm pointing the camera at now is the Jacob Javits Convention Center. It hosts very famous events such as the New York Auto Show and also the New York Comic Con. I do have videos of the New York Comic Con when I went through the exterior of the building back when it was hosted, if you want to check that out. So I just crossed 11th Avenue. I'm about to pass by some bus stations. These are long distance bus routes, I should say. Some of them are going to DC, some of them are going to Connecticut. Here you can even see some of the routes here. Pittsburgh, Saratoga, Spring, Amherst, Providence, Boston, Albany State College, Hartford, Baltimore, Philadelphia. This is Megabus. These buses don't leave from the Port Authority bus terminal, which is the biggest bus terminal in the tri-state area. So this is the entrance to the High Line, the High Line Park. It's maintained and supported by the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation and also the Friends of the High Line. So this High Line Park extends from 34th Street in the Hudson Yards part of Manhattan, and it goes south towards Gansevoort Street, which is a little bit past 14th Street. So it's about 1.5 miles long. It's actually a decommissioned rail line. This railway used to carry many freight travel and other transportation throughout Manhattan. It actually opened in 2009, although not entirely. It opened in 3 phases. This is actually the last phase. Over there in the distance is 12th Avenue and also the Hudson River. There's a helipad off in the distance. So a little bit of history about the High Line. Actually, this area going all the way down to the Meatpacking District was a very busy freight line, and there were many trains going on the street level, along with the horse and carriages and a lot of pedestrians. It was actually very dangerous back then, around the mid 1800s. There were even safety officers that the city hired, dubbed the West Side Cowboys, which would actually flag people down from walking in front of trains, even though the drivers of the trains try to exercise their extreme caution and go very slow. There were still many pedestrian deaths every year, and it was even named Death Avenue. Death Avenue was the nickname that was given to 10th and 11th Avenues. the New York Central Railroad, which used the route at the time, had to use these West Side cowboys in order to ensure the safety of everybody. And in 1910, there was even an organization that estimated there were 548 deaths and 1,574 injuries over the years along 11th Avenue. You can see here that some of the rail tracks have been repurposed into plant beds. There's even some rail track that is within the walking path. So it's kind of neat how this is repurposed. So this High Line structure was built to accommodate the railroads so they wouldn't have to run on street level and endanger the safety of everybody. And because the traffic was so busy, this area definitely needed it. So the first train that ran along the High Line as part of the New York Central's West Side Line ran in 1933, and the structure was dedicated in 1934. So since Robert Moses was the urban designer at the time, and this project was of utmost priority, many businesses and buildings were demolished to make room for this High Line to exist. Famous people, famous businesses were here, such as the Bell Laboratories building and the Nabisco plant. And actually where this High Line leads is nicknamed the Meatpacking District, because there used to be a lot of agricultural activity here with the shipments of meat, produce, and raw goods. So where I just went around is the western end of Pennsylvania Station. These are Long Island Railroad trains, and many of them are used for storage here and turnarounds to get back into Queens and Long Island, as well as the station itself. Here you can see Hudson Yards in all its glory. Also the vessel. Now when walking on the High Line, since the rail tracks aren't exactly always level with the walking path, it is a bit uneven sometimes, so you have to be a little bit careful while stepping over as to not lose your balance. There's also little tiny holes here that the city and whatever organizations help maintain it try to repair in a timely fashion, but not all the time do they do so. So here you go, some history about the High Line. I'll just pause it a little bit here. You can pause the video if you need more time to read it, but there's some old pictures. As I was mentioning, there's Death Avenue, the industrial waterfront, the decline in the 60s. So this High Line was interesting because when it was abandoned, people saw it as a blight and they didn't really know what to do with it. The city thought about repurposing it or tearing it down, and there actually wasn't any major community effort to save this structure until a group of people organized the Friends of the High Line, and then community support started rolling in. That's how the High Line was repurposed into this public park that everyone can enjoy now. Now I do have to tell you that it is very quiet here on the High Line. If you come by here on a weekend during the spring or summertime when the weather is much warmer and there's more green on the trees and bushes, sometimes you can't even pass people. There'll be people right on top of each other walking at a snail's pace. Here's some scaffolding that's on the High Line because they're doing construction on the Hudson yards to my left. I doubt all of the scaffolding is even necessary, but it's for pedestrian safety and the safety of everybody to have these up. These fencings and scaffolding do detract from the artistic aspect of the High Line a bit, but it's clearing up soon. Now actually this area of the High Line wasn't closed off before. This area will become the last part of the High Line to open. It's called the Spur, and according to sources online, this will open this year, and it will connect that part of the High Line off into the distance to this part, the main part. And that, I believe, is 9th Avenue, so you'll be able to take this main part of the High Line to 9th Avenue. Here's an entrance and an exit to the High Line right here. So this public park, when it was first opened and even when it was in its development, brought major real estate investment and business to this area. You can even see it right here. There's apartments for rent and bedrooms, 1 and 2 bedroom residences, luxury studios. The art scene especially flocked to this area after the High Line opened. Here's an interesting structure. It looks like a Native American Indian teepee with a boulder tied to it. Now these plants, they resemble the native plants that took over the High Line when it was abandoned. But there are newer plants that have been planted by the Parks Department and also Friends of the High Line that aren't necessarily the native plants. It's very common for these real estate buildings that were just erected to have patios and balconies like just right on the level with the High Line. It's a very nice perk for those buildings to have. You can see some older buildings with the fire escapes, and then the newer ones to my right. These are really luxury buildings. The ceilings on these units go very high. The High Line is constantly changing too. Not all the time will you see the same artwork. They'll be putting in new installations and changing things up. Now even here, artists showcase their works on the side of the High Line. Here's the Casman Gallery. Here's some people taking selfies. It's very cool to see trees growing inside the train tracks. Here's a very interesting art exhibit. It looks like a bunk bed that's been melted. And look at this, even the description says it's a bunk bed. Void ratio of a bunk bed, cast aluminum. Very cool. I have to say, this High Line has brought a lot of charm to this neighborhood and Manhattan in general. The idea of an elevated park just added a lot of innovation towards New York. Actually, the High Line, this isn't even the full part of it. It used to be longer. The High Line actually connected with Pennsylvania Station and connected to Amtrak and all those other routes. This is just a part of it. Part of it was demolished, but the parts that survived got turned into the park we have today. So this park actually isn't open all the time. They do have opening and closing hours. It's open later during the warmer months. Very nice view of the street here from the top of the High Line. Even the architecture of this building is very nice. Here's another exit to the High Line. This goes to 23rd Street, which is a major crosstown route in the city. A mannequin made of various materials. Here is 23rd Street. I tried to get a sunrise video from here once, but it was cloudy and it wasn't as successful as I liked, but hopefully I can try again another time. So I'm about halfway through the High Line right now. Here's some more artwork. I don't know what that's supposed to stand for or if they're letters or anything, but very interesting shapes. Here's some art that says I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Just a quick note, if you're coming here, there aren't too many restrooms on the High Line. There are two that I know of, and they're actually in the southern section of the park. So if you're coming to the High Line, I suggest using the restroom before you come visit. Also, during the winter, there aren't too many concession stalls or places to buy things to eat and drink around here. You can see signs of spring with the flower buds coming out. Here's some berries that didn't disappear when the winter came. Here's an artwork, Ironwood Land. It's a play on Hollywood, of the Hollywood sign. Ahead of me is even more buildings being constructed alongside the High Line. As I stated before, the major real estate boom arose when the High Line was opened up. In 5 years time, you won't even be hearing those clanking metal sounds from construction equipment. Again, more scaffolding. You would think New York City being populated as it is, there would be no more construction, but the buildings keep going up every day, floors keep getting added, and life continues in New York, the city that never sleeps. And down below you can see more artwork as well as local businesses, pizza place, some delis, the public bus. Now the High Line will be going directly over 10th Avenue. So this is actually a very popular spot for people. This is the 10th Avenue Square, and there's transparent glass that you're able to see the street from. So this is 17th Street and 10th Avenue. There's Artichoke Pizza, a parking garage, and endless construction in the distance, as well as Hudson Yards. And here's the High Line from on my left. And 17th Street's traffic. So I'm going to continue my walk on the High Line. It's not too far until the end now. As you can see, there's multiple routes on the High Line. There's this section on the right and also a left path. Right here is the restroom for the High Line. Open from 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Just as a reference, if anyone needs to know where the restroom is. It's on 10th Avenue between 16th and 17th Streets. This is the area where I see a lot of concession shops, as well as gift places set up, but right now there's nothing. As a store owner or a business, I wouldn't want to be standing out in this cold weather selling my wares or my food. I'd like to have a heated place of business. So here's an upper level of the High Line and also a lower level. I'm going to go to the lower level now just to show you what it's like. It's a major difference in the crowds between the winter and the spring and the summer. I don't know what it is with New York, but as soon as the warmer weather comes, everybody comes outside to enjoy the parks and the streets and sidewalks. As for me, I don't mind what the weather is. I'm out every single day and I enjoy every single day of it. Whether it's cold, hot, warm, even in bad weather, I'm out. So this is 14th Street, the Meatpacking District. Here's some text for you to read if you so desire. So just a quick tip, this building that I'm walking right underneath, although you won't be able to see because it's of the scaffolding, is called the Strand. It's a very famous hotel and bar with a very nice rooftop bar at the top. You're able to go all the way to the top and see a very nice view of the city and New Jersey. Here's a right turn for reparations. Very cool. I tell you, if I didn't know this was the High Line, I would give it a new nickname and call it the Scaffolding Line. Not only is scaffolding present on the streets and sidewalks, but it's present on an elevated park as well. So now that the scaffolding is gone, I'm going to rotate my camera behind me and hopefully I can get some of the Strand right here.
Doug, it's so funny because it's not.
Okay. I like this rail switch that got repurposed into plant beds and tree beds. So I'm at the end of the High Line right now. This staircase to my left goes towards Gansevoort Street. But there's a little bit more feet of the High Line I can show you before it abruptly ends. Here's the second set of restrooms I was telling you about right at the entrance. So this building that I'm pointing at right now is the Whitney Museum of American Art. A very nice museum. Right now I believe they're showing the Andy Warhol exhibit, so there isn't much time to see it before they close it down. Here is the Meatpacking District, Ample Hills Creamery, a very famous ice cream place, Washington Street, and an art gallery, and the Whitney Museum of American Art. If you go to the Whitney, you can go outside onto those balconies there and actually see the High Line from the top. It's quite the view. But I'm going to make my way to Gansevoort Street now. I hope you enjoy this video. Subscribe, like, and catch you next time.